Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to week whatever of Get Over Your Damn Self. And we are on chapter 7. I object. Sure, it's all about objections and all that kind of good stuff. Jenny, would you mind reading for us today?
Sure.
Thanks.
All right. People will offer objections as to why they don't think the business is right for them. Don't fear objections, embrace them. Objections are a helpful way to move the conversation about your business forward when you treat them like requests for more information. I love objections for 4 reasons. 1, they invite a real conversation about the prospect, the business, and whether or not the two will be a good fit. 2, they show the prospect is actually invested enough in the conversation to ask questions. I can work with that. 3, it begins the training process. If your objecting prospect joins your team, you'll have already shown her that objections aren't an impediment to adding a team member, but simply part of the process. Plus, you've already started showing her how to respond to them. And 4, educating people about this business is so much fun. The most enlightening and authentic conversations come from exploring prospects' objections, but we can't educate what's hidden. The most important things to remember in handling objections are: don't get defensive and don't go into convincing mode. We are sorting people, not convincing them. If your focus remains on being of service to your prospect to help him or her understand our business model, your company's proposition, and the WIIFT, the conversation will be relaxed, authentic, efficient, and helpful. Here's the great news. There are only a handful of objections we all get. And once you're comfortable handling them, you can confidently help your personal prospects and those brought to you on 3-way calls to make educated decisions as to whether they want to start their own business. Of course, you may get objections unique to your product or service, but I'm going to assume that between your company and your upline, you're in great hands to learn how to handle them. When someone raises an objection, I love using the approach I learned from an industry veteran and one of the most authentic communicators I've ever known, Richard Bliss Brooke. Respond with a question. A clarifying question is so helpful because people often don't really understand what they're objecting to, or they have incorrect assumptions. The answer to your clarifying question gives you more information about what your prospect is really thinking. You'll see how this plays out below. While we want our prospects to feel heard and don't want to discount their feelings, it's our job to explain why their concerns shouldn't keep them from starting a business of their own. Until you get comfortable with responding to objections, an effective format for your answers after you've asked the clarifying question is feel, felt, found. I understand how you feel about. I felt that way before, but here's what I found. Over time, you'll become even more authentic and natural with your responses, perhaps abandoning feel, felt, found, which can sound trite. So let's talk about the most common objections and how you can knock it out of the park with your answers. Each objection is followed by a suggested clarifying question and then a proposed answer to use after your prospect has addressed your question. I don't think I have enough time to do this. Clarifying question. Well, how much time do you think you need to start building your own business? I'm actually looking for busy people because I've learned that busy people get things done. I must tell you that I wasn't sure how I was going to fit this in, but most of us work this business in very part-time hours around everything else on our plates. It requires consistent effort of doing a little bit each day and working it into your everyday life and conversations. And let's be honest, we can find time for the things that are a priority, whether it's building a business or watching a Game of Thrones marathon. Just a second.
I was wondering if that was the Roomba in the background. Is that what that was?
A robot.
Was that the vacuum? Yeah. I heard it and I was like, I wonder if that's her vacuum.
It was in the living room, which was great for a while, but now it's decided to do the kitchen. Oh, that's it. Okay, dig in further to find out what your prospect would like to do with this. So you're telling me you'd want to build an exit strategy from your job, or whatever their why is, in 10 to 15 hours a week, 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there, half an hour there. You can invest your time in achieving those goals. So what I'm interested in learning is not whether you think you have the time for this, but whether you want to devote the time to this. Are you willing to invest the time toward, repeat their why? God, I don't have the money to do this. Clarifying question. If money wasn't an issue, would you want to jump in and build a business that could help you, repeat their why? If you don't have the money to invest in a business of your own that can grow an additional income stream for you, it shows just how badly you could use this. Do you have the investment amount on a credit card? If you do, we'll teach you how to make your investment back through product sales and growing your team and any other incentives your company might offer. I will keep you laser focused on the income producing activity that will give you a return on your investment. If they say they need time to get the money together, then I schedule an enrollment appointment so they have a deadline to work toward. I also assign them the homework of solidifying their why and writing down their initial dream team list. When I confirm their enrollment appointment a few days prior, I request this info. The homework gives them a head start, keeps their future business top of mind, and it shows me how serious they are about doing this. Plus, if they ultimately don't join, I ask them to connect me with their dream team list they've already compiled. They can't tell you they didn't think of someone to connect you with. When I read this book, I wonder how much it costs to start her company, because she's always talking about if you don't have the money. So, but I don't know what she does.
She was with Rodan and Fields, and so I don't know how much, but I think of some of those makeup companies, it's a decent amount, like to get started with everything.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and just thinking about Tupperware, it's $15. If they can't afford $15, then they really need the top paragraph. You know, they need more than just a casual thing. If $15 is, you know, a detriment, you know. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You're allowed.
That's the point of book club, Lori, is to to contribute.
She was gonna start to read, so I was a little slow on the uptake. So
You're good. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. A lot of companies, their startup, like the jewelry companies, their startup's pretty sizable. And so our startup compared to some of these other companies is next to nothing. Even beauty
when
control.
I sold jewelry, it was like an earn and learn program where you put a down payment down and then it was paid out of your commissions.
Oh, so you didn't even like make money until you'd paid it all.
Yeah, they took part of my commission to pay for the kit.
Yeah.
And
every company's a little bit different. Even when Tupperware had beauty control, they were kind of on point with like all the other beauty companies as far as their startup costs were 200 plus, but then they had like some sort of a like their confident start, instead of it being confident start, it was more like a, hey, you attend this training and you're going to get the bonus other half of your kit or something. So they would just kind of like get people, entice them that way. So yeah, ours is pretty simple, honestly. And I'm grateful for how simple our startup is. You know, you can pay this or you can pay this. This gets you, you know, the ability to sell. This gets you some products to be able to demo. And beyond that, if you sell, you'll earn more products. And if you don't, then you know. So I don't feel like there's like a weird like trickery going on there, you know?
And even in the new, you know, it's going to streamline it even more with the new catalog. You know, 2 options. Product, $109, $15. You know, so, you know, and it's a lot less complicated now since they took away, put $39 down, and then in 90 days, how many times did we explain that over and over and over again? And people are like, what? How does that work? So now it's even easier to explain this, you know.
What I think would be kind of cool is like now that they have, they have that kit option and then they have the 15, right? What would be kind of cool is the confident start, instead of like earning $60 or whatever, they might be adjusting it. I don't know. I hadn't heard anything, but instead of earning like the $60 or whatever that used to be the kit balance, those people got an opportunity to then buy the kit for $60, like for a discounted rate.
Oh, that'd be cool.
You know what I mean? Or even if it was just they bought the kit for $95, by then they might see the value in the kit, like take the 15 off. And by then they might see the value in the kit. But I think that would be cool, because how many times people are like, no, I just want 15. I don't need the products. And then they actually start working the business. They're like, darn, I wish I had some products.
Right. You have new people always asking, can I get that 109 kit now? No, sorry, you took the 15. So that, I like that idea. We should tell Pam that. And
there was a girl that came into the studio a couple weeks ago and she had signed up for the $15 kit with somebody. And she goes, well, I think I'm just going to come in and buy the products at my 15% discount, because that's what they get at the studio for the kit. And I was like, okay. So she starts adding this stuff up and she goes, it's going to be like $300. I said, yeah. And she goes, well, maybe I'll just get the breakfast maker and some bowls. I was like, yeah, it was a better deal first time out. But yeah.
Yeah.
You guys, when I'm reading, I can't see the screen. So if you have something to say, Lori, just butt right in, because I can't tell if you're going to talk or not.
You know I will.
I know. I count on it. Where was I? I don't want to bother friends.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Clarifying question. Why do you think you'd be bothering friends? I'm so glad to hear that, because that's not what I'm so glad to hear that, because it's not what we do. We share about products or a service that we love and a business that can enhance or change lives. If you're coming across like you're bugging someone, you're not being coachable and you're not following our simple system. We'll teach you how to casually and conversationally talk to people you know and people you're referred to. And look, not everyone will want your products or want to join your business. That's okay. I don't know enough people. Clarifying question. How many people do you think you need to know? We all know a lot of people. We'll help you jog your memory so you can remember all the people you've met in your life. One of the many things I love about this business is it's not necessarily who you know, but the contacts of those that you do know. Plus, this business is a great way to get to know new people. We'll teach you how. Remember, don't prejudge that someone else is looking for. You never know who's looking for exactly what you have to offer. I think you probably know enough people to start building a business. What I'm really interested in is how much you like people, because this business is all about people. If you don't enjoy talking to people, lots of people, then you won't have fun and you won't show up. So let's talk about how much you love people.
I have to interrupt. So how many times do you hear, I don't know enough people? So when we were reading Recruiting Superstar, right? The list of 100 people, and research shows that every person knows 300 people. So when new people come on, they always say, oh gosh, I don't know enough people. And I'm tell them that. And I'm like, make a list of 100 people, right? Don't judge what they're going to buy, if they're going to join you, if they're even going to hear what you have to say. Write down 100 people. And I tell them, like, of which categories, your friends and moms and dads or whatever. And, and I'll send you some happy mail instantly within a couple of days. Oh, here's my list of 100 people. And that they know more than that. But I think it's like a knee-jerk reaction. Like, I don't know enough people. They think of the 20 people that are in their inner circle, which are the people that aren't going to buy from you anyway. So you have to think outside that box. But the tip on from Recruiting Superstar really works. It does.
I don't know enough people and I don't have any friends. I hear that all the time. I don't have any friends. Well, that's sad.
I like when she said earlier in this book that if have them think about the people they would invite to their wedding if they were getting married. Because we sit down and we're like, oh, I don't know who to invite. And then we're like, we have to start taking people off the list so if you think about it that way, it's like, oh, I do actually know more people than I thought.
Yeah. Or who you'd invite to your kid's graduation party.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How is it when they may bring gifts, we can think of more people?
I think part of it is that when they say, like, I don't want to bother friends, their mind automatically goes to what are those people doing for me? Because I'm selling something and I'm going to be making some money. So I'm bothering them. But if you had a fundraiser for your neighbor whose house burned down and you needed to ask people for donations, then you would do that in a heartbeat, because it's not for you, it's for them. And I think that's what the disconnect, or why people do that, because they think they're asking their friends something for them. Like, I have a really good friend who in 7 years has never done a party for me. And her reason for not doing one is, when I invite people to a party, I feel like I'm obligating them to buy something. And I'm thinking, I don't look at it that way, And the funny thing is that her husband is in sales. So how does he support his family? In sales. But she's got this thing and she won't do it. She's like, I feel really funny asking people to come to a party because then I feel like I'm obligating them to, forcing them to buy something.
Yeah, I also feel like when people say I don't have any friends, what they mean actually is I don't think my friends would be interested. Like I don't have friends that I think would be interested in your product. And that just goes back to prejudging, because you just never know.
And I think whenever people say, well, I don't want to bother my friends or stuff like that, it goes back to maybe they knew somebody that sold something that just would not leave them alone. And, or if she doesn't want to have a party because she feels like she's obligating her friends to buy things, she's apparently been to parties where, whoever the hostess was like, well, you're buying something, right? I mean, I need you to buy something because I need so,
hostesses can be very aggressive sometimes with their friends. I definitely agree with that. Yeah, I definitely. So a lot of times it's a past experience, has nothing to do with us,
Lori knows this. I literally just went through this with my mom. She will support me. She will buy whatever. She actually just bought the grill special, so she has another grill. But she just did her first party for me. And you would have thought I had like locked her in a closet and told her she couldn't come out till she did it. She sent me a video and she's like, okay, but don't ask me to do another one. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like a terrible person. She literally just had a party with almost 700 in sales. And she had people coming to her saying, hey, invite me to your party. So she's definitely going to be an experience I use when I come across this with someone that's like, oh, I don't want to bother my friends.
And it's important. That's the thing is also to realize us as consultants, we can't get mad at friends and family if they're not wanting to support us because my mother-in-law never bought a single piece of Tupperware for me. She would support any of her friends in their children's direct sales ventures. She never bought anything from me. However, she always watched the kids for me whenever I needed her to. And she fed them and she did, took care of dinner sometimes when I was busy in the evenings and she was watching them and doing all those things. So she absolutely was a huge support in my business, even though she never ever hosted a party or purchased a single thing for me. And anytime I gave her Tupperware, it was kind of like, oh, thanks. Even though she used it because she cooked like crazy. She was a home ec teacher towards the end of her teaching career. And so she fed everybody. She was always the one who took the soup to somebody who's sick from church. And when somebody passed away, she showed up at the door with food and, good news, bad news, she fed it. Like that's what she did. And so you would think the Tupperware would be a good fit, but she just wasn't into it. And I respected that. And I don't think I ever even gave her a catalog. Like she never asked for one. And and that was fine, and so because I could see it on her face and I knew that was a boundary for her. And so, but she was probably one of the biggest supporters of my business because of the way she helped me with the kids and was always ready to stand in. And when I went to Jubilees and Summits, she was part of the tag team that took care of everybody while I was gone, so.
And if you do have friends, like my one friend, I know she's never had a party for me and I'm trying to reach other markets. And when she said no, I wasn't surprised, but I asked her, you could be a huge help to me and give me a referral source, be my referral source. Find one of your neighbors. Our kids don't go to the same school, but I think she might even be a little hesitant to ask them to do that. But, it is what it is. I always tell my people, you're not going to build your business on your friends. They're just, for whatever reason, they might buy a little, but you can't count on them to make your sales goal, every month after month. You'll get to a point where they'll buy when they want to buy, so.
Well, and nobody wants a business that is supported by your friends and family because then you do turn into the person that they're dodging at the family reunion. And you do turn into the person that you pull into the parking lot and all the moms are like, ooh, Like, you don't, that's not what this business is about. And you can't grow a business off of friends and family. They're a great place to start if you've got them, but just because you don't have them doesn't mean you can't be full speed ahead and be hugely successful. I did not have a big support of friends and family when I first got started. Some support kind of trickled in later when they saw that this was, that I was really doing it, and they saw value in what I was selling. So, but I always was just like, well, I'm gonna do it with or without you, and so I just went out
and sometimes over all these years, people don't think it's a real business still. Like,
no.
They'll put you into the category of, oh, she sells a little Tupperware here and there. Well, she's selling a lot of they just don't see the depth of it, and maybe that's because a lot of people they're not as successful as a lot of Tupperware people are. I mean, they exist, but there's a lot of people that just dabble in direct
sales. Yeah.
And then they maybe don't do anything, so I think that's the stigma, which.
Well, so it's funny because for years when somebody would say, so we have our Jubilee recap videos and things like that they put out there, and they're just like showing the stage and the people and the lights and people winning things and all this other stuff, right? So for years when people would ask me what I do, and I would say, I sell Tupperware, I could see the look on their face, right? And in my head, I would play my own personal recap video and I'd be like, yeah, I do. And I'd just be like, oh, you're cute. You don't really understand. That's okay.
You're cute.
You're pretty, right, Jenny?
You're pretty.
Oh, you're pretty.
Well, that's like my kids. When I started, Becky she's my middle one, and I won't tell you, she's afraid of Becky. Becky was her first reaction wasn't, oh, Tupperware, that's cute, Mom, or anything like that. She was like, oh my God, don't put it on social media. And I was like,
don't tell anybody.
Yeah, don't tell anybody. That's exactly it. She goes, I mean, that's fine if you want to do a couple parties in Bradner, but God, don't put it out there. And I was like, why? She goes, I don't want my friends knowing you're selling Tupperware. And I'm like, okay. So it took me 4.5 years for her to have a party. And she finally, she did it to shut me up. I know she did. She did it out of guilt because the other 4 had already had one and she hadn't had one. So she had a party, she invited her friends, and she was like, don't be pushy. She gave me all these instructions. Don't be pushy. Don't be contacting them. If they want something, they'll buy it, blah, 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 blah. She had almost $1,000 party. Her friends thought it was great. And do you know that little witch still won't buy Tupperware?
Well, you know what? And I was just going to say something about my charming daughter, and she just came down the steps. I'm trying to... I'm trying to like move my business like more into Instagram and just start a YouTube channel. And I'm like, Delaney, share your YouTube channel, with your friends. She's like, I'm not doing that. What about Instagram? Like my Instagram. Let's do some, some cool Insta things. She's like, no. But then she'll turn around and go, oh, for my birthday, I need about $500 worth of clothes. And I'm like, well, you better start slinging the Tupperware to your friends.
He's like, no, I didn't.
She just did. She lies. But I mean, I understand she's only going to be 13. So she's just like,
$500 worth of clothes is a pair of shoes, 2 pair of jeans, and 3 shirts. So
Truth. Truth. I just spent $250 on 2 pairs of tennis shoes for Ella. Stop it.
Happens
Yeah.
fast.
Exactly.
Can you imagine the family gatherings though, and your sister sells Tupperware too? Like, wow.
Jeff, we have 2 Tupperware consultants in my house.
Oh, really?
Marketing to 2 different groups of people.
Well, see, and you know what? Absolutely. But I'm talking family reunions,
Yeah.
I mean, Ellen and Amy are in different ends of the state, pretty much. So,
Truth.
But when they all get together, Elizabeth is the only holdout.
Well, my sister technically sells Tupperware, but
Yeah,
She doesn't
Elizabeth is
really.
a huge supporter. She just helps me honestly. Like she doesn't buy stuff from me. I give her stuff, but she doesn't really buy stuff from me or anything. But her like mental support, like her and I talk a lot about business. She vents to me about her business, and she's my venting place too. So, but yeah, and that's just not her thing. And she said that from day one. She's like, I love what you're doing. I think it's amazing, but I've never ever had a desire to sell anything. And I'm like, hey, rock on with yourself. Like I have no desire to do what you're doing. So yeah, absolutely.
Oh, and here's the
Awesome.
thing. I'm not a salesperson.
There you go. There she is.
Yeah. So why do you think you need a sales background? I'm not looking for salespeople. I'm looking for passionate people who love to share about things they love. I'm also looking for people who enjoy helping others. Does this sound like you? If it does, then we can teach you how to do what we do. And let's face it, even those of us who have never been in traditional sales still sell. We sell ideas. Heck, I sell ideas to my kids every day to get them to do what I want them to do. True. It doesn't matter how old they get.
Side note. Side note.
Agreed. Ditto.
I know, even the adult kids, if you talk fast enough, they're like, okay. The timing isn't right for me to start a business. Clarifying question, what would make it the right time? The timing of starting a business is like having kids. It will never be perfect. Perfect doesn't exist. But it sounds like you want to repeat their why. Let's talk about how this could fit in around everything on your plate and help you get to their why. If they still say not right now, transition to referrals and to the customer discussion. If they won't bite on either, ask your prospect if you may contact them at a later date. Is this a pyramid? Clarifying question. What do you mean by pyramid? If they answer referencing a pyramid scheme, then continue. Pyramid schemes are illegal. With pyramids, there is no selling of product or services. That's not what this is. If I think I can be a little bit of a smartass, I add with a wink, is that what you're looking for? If they answer with reference to one of those things where you build a team and the team makes you money, then continue. If you're asking if this is network marketing model, absolutely yes. I wouldn't be doing it if it weren't. We get to build an organization of customers and team members, and we teach others to do the same thing. Instead of just getting paid because of my efforts, I get to earn based on the success of my whole team. Unlike most jobs where we'd never expect to earn more than our boss, it's not uncommon for someone to earn even more than the person who invited them into the business. What other questions do you have? Once you've handled all their questions and objections, then say, do you have any other questions or are you ready to get started? If your prospect doesn't offer up any more questions but declines to get started, simply ask, I sense some hesitation. What's behind that? In their authentic answer will be the objection that they still haven't shared. Here's what I've learned in all these years about objections. Whatever you're unsure of is what you will get asked about most. Don't really believe this is a brilliant business model? You'll get asked about pyramids. Not sure you've got what it takes to share about your business and products in a compelling way because you lack sales experience? Your prospects will tell you they don't think they have the right background. So make sure you have sufficiently answered your objections so that you have a confident and powerful posture to field whenever objections come your way.
I thought that was a really good point. And right there, that's like classic law of attraction, right? If you're thinking about your own hangups in the business, that's what's going to keep coming back to you in your face. And yeah, it's really powerful. And I loved her objection to, is this a pyramid? You know, because it's just like, she just flat out was just like, you know, when she said, I like when I can see Lori actually saying, is that what you're looking for? Can't you see her saying that to somebody? They're just like, that's not a pyramid, they're illegal. Is that what you're looking for? Like, I can totally see her doing that. It just made me laugh because I immediately was like, oh, Lori would totally do that. Wouldn't you, Lori?
And after I got done, they probably wouldn't join my team afterwards. You know?
Is that what you're looking for? Because you know, I know some people.
I can hook you up, but yeah.
Oh my gosh. But I loved it when she said, you know, if you're asking if this is a network marketing model, absolutely yes. And I wouldn't be doing it if it weren't. I love that she just said it with such confidence in the sense of like, Yes, and that's not a bad thing, and just kind of put it out there because people do. I mean, educated, business-minded people still question that. And I'm always like, really? Like, it just kind of blows my mind. Like, yeah, it's just because that got like drilled into their brain a long time ago. And it's just stuck there, and it just drives me crazy. Diane said, FedEx just brought my roommate's Tupperware. Oh, yay.
Well, what I liked about that, not too many people ask about pyramid schemes anymore. I don't think
Not many anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. But, anybody that thinks that maybe you don't do anything and you just sit there and you bring people in and then they make money for you, that's the good thing about Tupperware. That's not the way that it works. If you don't work, you don't get paid. But I like where she says, it's not uncommon for someone, on my team to earn more money or, earn not a higher level, but be recognized, making more money or doing something that I'm not doing. We teach them how to do it, but the sky's the limit. They could do more than what we're doing, which is the beauty of it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think a lot of people understand the difference between and network marketing. I don't think they really realize what network marketing actually is.
Yeah, most people don't.
So because I know years ago before I got into the business and that I didn't know the difference. I didn't know, but there's a huge difference, and I always make sure that I let them know too. If somebody questions that or says anything about that, I let them know we are on the stock market and pyramid schemes are not allowed on the stock market. So we follow very strict rules as far as how we
Oh, I think we lost.
She muted
we
herself.
lost the audio, Lydia. Oh, there she is. We had your visual, but your audio popped off. I'm like, we lost her voice. We have her face.
I read her lips. She said, "I love working my Tupperware business."
And I think people that ask about pyramid schemes are usually older. And we're around when the pyramid schemes were such a big deal and so many people lost so much money. Because very few younger people will ask you about a pyramid scheme. They don't even know what those are.
Right.
But yeah,
Wasn't
that's true.
What, Jeff?
Well, Lydia was talking, but her lips weren't moving. So I thought I was stepping on her audio. Kind of freaked me out because then I realized her lips weren't moving. I was like, wow, that's a delayed video or
it is
audio
delayed.
response. Well, I think wasn't the last pyramid scheme Amway, and wasn't that a huge deal? And oh my God, my grandmother sold that or was buying it back in the day. So we're talking like the 70s.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're right. It is older people.
Yeah, but what are you talking about the 70s?
The 70s sound like it was 1,000 years ago, please.
Yeah. Hey, I was just listening to my Sirius 70 radio, which is my favorite station very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but Jeff's right. I mean, the thing is like my parents even, I know that they had been invited to a couple of Amway type parties and it totally gave them an awful taste in their mouth. And so even if somebody did not join a company like that and lose money, they didn't like whatever went on there and they just kind of associate it with that. Does anybody know exactly what the difference between a network marketing company is and a pyramid scheme?
Yeah.
What is it?
Right?
Well,
What?
she said they didn't sell product, but Amway sold product.
Right. So, but the main difference and the easiest way to explain it to people is that pyramid schemes, people get paid for recruiting people, and the people don't have to necessarily sell anything for them to get paid. And whereas network marketing, you don't get paid until people actually work. Like, so we don't get paid anything just to recruit people. We don't. And we might get a bowl set, right? But that's not anything we can do anything with, right? And so it's important. That's the easiest way. There are other nuances that go along with that, but that's the easiest way to explain it without getting too wordy. The more words you use to explain it, the more it sounds like you're trying to cover something up or over explain because there's something weird going on. And so that's the easiest way. If somebody comes to you and they're just like, well, what is it? Because you're just like, are you a pyramid scheme? No, I'm not a pyramid scheme. Well, what is a pyramid scheme? I don't know. Like you kind of need to have an answer. Otherwise they'll be like, so you're not one, but you don't really know what it is, you know? So that's the easiest way to explain it.
I'm just thinking about, go ahead, Lydia.
A pyramid scheme basically is you don't get paid unless you have people under you. Because there's still some out there. There are still some companies out there that work like that. They don't get paid unless they have people under them, and then they get paid from the bottom up. Where Tupperware, you don't have to have any recruits. You work and you get paid. So, I mean, that's like network marketing. That's a big, big difference in the two.
And, you know, I'm thinking of a company, and I'm not going to say what company it is, but I'm kind of familiar with the way that they bring people in. And I don't know how you can do that nowadays because you've got the direct selling organization, you know, that, you know, dictates, you know, us with the 350 rolling 4 month. That comes from them. That didn't come from Tupperware. But there's companies out there, if you think about it, they want you to bring people in, and the person that brings you in gets a bigger discount and basically makes more money just because they've brought you in. So they hammer in like, let's bring people in to my downline, but you really don't have to do anything. So I'm wondering how they can even, and one's a pretty big company, how they can do that, because it almost is like they're right on the line of being.
There are lots of people that are, I think, right on the line of it. And that's what the government was kind of doing. That's the reason why Tupperware made so many changes to our compensation program over the last couple of years, is to get completely in compliance, no gray area. We're not even flirting with the line of what the government is coming in to regulate direct selling companies. And that's the reason why some direct selling companies have either bigger companies have closed or have restructured, because one of them that restructured was Advocare, because Advocare, they actually took away everybody's downlines, and all you can do is sell the products for a straight up commission now. So all the people that had gigantic downlines, they're completely gone, and the only way they make money is by selling the products. And it was because they were in some sort of, they weren't in compliance with something to do with what the government is going in and regulating. And again, that's why Tupperware made so many changes to our compensation program over the last couple of months or the last couple of years, was because they knew it was coming, because we're a Fortune 500 company. And because of that, we have more connections in that world. And so we saw it coming, and Tupperware's like, no, we're here for the long haul. We're not going to play fast and loose with our entire sales force. We're changing things up. And so a lot of people were a little disgruntled when they started making some of the changes that they did. And, but they did it for us. They did it for us to be, so we could be here for another 70 years and do things like that. So a lot of times when they start messing with that kind of stuff, that side of stuff, it has more to do with government regulations than it has to do with the sales force. Honestly, they're doing it to protect us, but it's not because of something we did. It's not because of something, and they're not going to say all of that because it's not, they don't need to explain themselves really to us. Really, honestly, they really don't. But a lot of times that's what it has to do with, is things like that. Even our, because one of the things was falsifying income, like what you could make, right? And so that's when Tupperware kind of went in. That's when they got rid of the PQRs and they got rid of all that kind of stuff. But that was part of that, was because, yeah, with your 3 PQRs, which was personal qualified recruits, if you brought somebody in that month and they sold like 350 or whatever, you got a higher percentage. So when people would say you can make this much money, they're saying with the 3 PQRs. And so it's kind of an elevated amount of money and the amount of the percentage of consultants that actually would would consistently have those 3 PQRs every single month was not much. And so the ghost dog is behind you, like all of a sudden making an appearance, and so that was one of the reasons why they got rid of that. And so that's one of the things that, so I personally am always so grateful of the fact that Tupperware is always forward thinking. And I know we might think, with all of the changes that they're trying to implement now with our system, and our system's outdated and they're now just starting to update it. So we're like, oh, how forward thinking are they when we have this like archaic system we're working on? Well, they were putting all their time and energy to make sure that we had a business to work, right? So now that they know that we're good there, now they're able to put their energy into our system and doing those type of upgrades to just make us even more healthy. So that's the benefit of being with a company like Tupperware that is publicly traded, because they do have to answer to stockholders, not just a lot of direct sales companies are a couple like me and Eric start a direct sales company, right? And then of course, when you get into a family business, which is essentially what you're doing in a direct sales company that's run by a couple, the problems of family businesses, right? Divorces, like all kinds of crazy stuff, right? I could list off lots of companies that have, you don't realize that used to be connected, that there was a divorce and then somebody made a copycat company because they lost the company in the divorce, right? And so that happens in direct sales companies a lot more than you realize. And but also it's just, it's that person that's in charge of it. They don't have to answer to anyone, so they can truly do whatever they see fit. And that's where it's great, because with a company like Tupperware, they do have to answer to a higher power, essentially. And these people are business people, and they're looking at it from a business perspective. They're looking at it from an investment perspective. They're not just looking at it from a direct selling mom and pop, and so that's why it's just so great to be with a company like Tupperware. If you're wanting to make money long term, if you're wanting to make sure that the company that you're working your buns off to build for right now is going to be here in 5 years and 10 years, this is the place to be for sure. All right. Well, you know what? The next chapter is actually kind of long, and so I don't really want to get it started. Does anybody else have, we'll wait till next week since we only have about 10 more minutes. Does anybody have anything else that they wanted to share about overcoming objections or anything that we've read in the book? No? Do you want to talk about Jeff's home renovations?
I will say on the part about I'm not a salesperson, one of my favorite memes, and I don't know who put it out, but I've seen it and, put it up before, is what is it? I don't love Tupperware because I sell it. I sell Tupperware because I love it. And honestly, I may have gotten in for one reason, but that truly is what it is right now. Like every time something comes out, I'm like, oh, I don't need it anymore. And then I'm like, oh, but I really like that. That would work so well here. And it's like, and I do think people feed off of that. If you have that attitude about something, when you pick your favorite restaurant, you tell everybody, you go to a new restaurant, you love it, you tell absolutely everyone about it. And I think it's sort of the same way in a business where you love the product is one of the first things I thought of.
Yeah,
I've never seen.
Go ahead.
I've never seen that meme, but I love that.
I'm not good with Slack, but I'll try and remember to post it in Slack for you.
Okay.
Actually,
Make sure you put it in the meme channel. Put it in the meme channel.
Oh, I didn't even
what
think about that.
what even is slap? Jeez, I'm showing my age.
It's the way we communicate. The directors, it's our communication system.
It's better than Remind or something like that, or GroupMe.
GroupMe.
Channels where you can I was going to say segregate I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
You could have individual individual categories and stuff like that, so you can keep things separated and keep things more organized. Yeah. It doesn't mean that we slack.
Oh,
We're slacking.
slack or slap? I thought she said slap, and I was like, oh, that's a whole nother meaning. I'll put that in a slap for somebody. No, it's funny you mentioned loving the product. My favorite bowl ever is the That's a Bowl. So of course we're, March is the That's a Bowl Tower. But gosh, they need to stop doing that so frequently because it's hard to keep selling the same people different color towers.
But these are so gorgeous.
Oh,
I like
every
this
color that comes
color.
out, I love. There's no denying it. I had people calling that when I first joined. I think they call it Tiffany blue. It was that green or aqua color. But yeah, I was like, well, it's my favorite bowl, so snap them up.
There you go. All right, everybody. Well, we will just wrap this up, and we'll see you next week. And next week it is She's Just Not That Into You. Or is she?
Is that a movie?
Or is she?
It's a book.
It's a
book.
It's a book and a movie.
And the book is nothing like the movie.
I'll bet this chapter is not like either one of them either.
I bet you're right.
True. Exactly. All right. Have an awesome week.
See ya. Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Yes. Have a great close to the month.
Yes.